let's look a little bit at social engineering. Sometimes social engineering can be completely non-technical. Some of the best social engineers I know just kind of ask people if they can do things, or better yet, just do them and say they'll apologize later, and manage to do very well at it. Break into banks, hotels, things like that. So it can be just a matter of your people skills, but perhaps it's a little bit of a stereotype to say us tech people don't have very good social skills. So for some of us, the technical approach may be better. I personally am terrible at the human interaction, social engineering. I can't lie to anybody without sweating. So that's not anything I'm particularly good at. But if you do have the great social skills and can convince people to do what you want, it might be a route that you would be good at, making cold calls and asking people for information, just walking into the building and pretending like you belong, things like that. That is a valid form of penetration testing, and some of your clients may want you to do that. On the other hand, some of them may want something like a phishing attack. So you get phishing attacks probably from time to time. Says, hey, open this page or download this or something like that. You can get really fancy ones, like have all the right pictures from Amazon and say, your television that you bought has shipped, at which point you kind of freak out and you're like, what? I didn't buy a television. Or, it comes from the bank and looks like it's from the bank and it says, oh, your card may have been compromised. Here is a PDF of all your charges that you've made. Download it and look at them and see if they're right, and the PDF is malicious, or go to this site because your password has been compromised. Please change your password. And you click on the link and it actually takes you to a clone of the website. And then when you update your information, the site on the other end actually gets the original. So it would be like, give it your username, your old password, and then update your password. So the attacker site will grab the old password and then be able to log in as you on the real site. So these are things that happen in the wild. So like everything else in pen testing, we try and simulate these sorts of attacks and see who falls for them. If nobody falls for them, which I've never had happen in my career, then good job on the company. If everybody falls for it, we need some more security awareness training for sure. So a tool that we can use that'll help us automate social engineering attacks that I like to use is the Social Engineer Toolkit, SE Toolkit in Kali. I'll just leave this as no. Social Engineer Toolkit is updated a lot. Do you agree to the terms of service? Sure. So it also has other things in it besides just social engineering. The author of this tool did something called Fast Track before that. So all the Fast Track stuff is in here. Like stuff to update, things like that. Let's go to one social engineering attacks. There's lots of different things you can do here. The spear phishing attack vectors basically just help us set up Metasploit modules, so we can just kind of look at one. So let's do perform a mass email attack. And so basically the problem with these is, at least with Gmail and probably any of your other providers that are worth their salt. So if they're using Google Apps, this isn't going to work, but some of them that use their own stuff, if you can log in to their mail servers, may work, but all this stuff gets popped and it's like, oh, that's malicious. But you can set up something like, let's do this one, PDF embedded exe social engineering. So that's really similar to what we did with the Java applet. It's going to prompt the user and say, hey, can I run this exe that's in the PDF? You also see stuff like this with like Excel and other like Microsoft Word things. They have like Visual Basic scripts in them that have to run, which I actually worked for someone once, a subcontractor, where they took a Excel spreadsheet with all of the vulnerabilities in it, and it would run a Visual Basic script. It would run the macro, and it would turn it into the template for the report. So that was nice. So there are legitimate uses for this. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why you would have a Visual Basic script enabled in your Word files. or Excel files or things like that. But you can also use it maliciously. You can put in a malicious macro that can create an interpreter even. So if you have Microsoft Office, that might be one to check out as well. I'll just use a blank PDF. What do I want the payload to be? All of my typical interpreters here. Windows, interpreter, reverse TCP. What is the IP address for the listener? Port. So it basically just automates the task of this. So, I mean, as far as I can tell with these, it's really for people who are lazy or don't know how to use Metasploit very well, because all of this is basically just hooking up to MSF Venom, not MSF Venom, MSF CLI rather, and automating these. So keep the file name, I don't care. And then you can have it mail for you. You can give it a list of email addresses that you probably get from your client, or you'll have to find them online through our Harvester and Maltego and other tools that we saw previously when we did information gathering. And predefined is fine, so it has some built-in email templates. You can send them to Dan Brown's Angels and Demons. That was a long time ago. Mail to georgia@bulbsecurity.com. So you can use your own mail server, or you can use Gmail. I'm Georgia at Bulb Security. Train Ace. Help Desk. So it does say unable to deliver mail because Gmail can tell that the PDF is malicious. So that has been caught for a while. We'll see avoiding antivirus a bit later on. You could take the output of this and then run it through antivirus avoidance techniques. So then you can set up a listener. So if it worked, it'll automatically set up a listener for you. So when someone clicks on it, it'll come back to you. So again, it just kind of automates things. So, you know, if you're lazy. Which it's hanging because it's waiting for Metasploit, because for whatever reason my Metasploit on here is the slowest I've ever seen it, which is, I suppose, pretty typical for something you're going to make videos with. But you get the picture. I'll just kill it. And go back to main menu. So the ones I really like to use on here are the website attack vectors, number 2. These are the ones that I use in day-to-day life. It can do the Java applet attack method. We saw that. Credential harvester, I use this a ton. So number 3, credential harvesters. You can use web templates. Let's just start with a template. You can also do site cloner and custom import, so you can make your own. So let's start with just a web template. IP address for the post back. Our IP address. We want something with a login page. Let's do Facebook. It says Apache is on. Why did it die? Let me kill Apache. Service, Apache 2, stop. Okay, so this has changed since the last time I used it. It actually puts it in Apache. I don't really like that, but okay, if you say so. Service, Apache 2, start. If I go to var www, Okay, if you say so. What's it called? Facebook? Post.php? Yeah, that doesn't look anything like Facebook, obviously. Okay, that's weird. It didn't used to do that. It used to just set up its own web server. That's not going to be very useful to look at until I figure out how to make it work, what's this hello, I wonder. That's mine. Nothing in there. Yeah, I don't really know what it's done, or maybe if it's broken. Cloning the website. But where did it put it, I wonder? Apache is on. Everything will be placed in your web root directory. On Apache, files will be written out to the root directory of Apache. All files within on a set to start the process. Feel free to customize post.php, but post.php does not look like Facebook, so that's not very helpful. Not entirely sure what's up with that. That's what I get for switching versions of Kali. Well, let's see what happens if I change the config file. Nano, well, let's go there first. User, share. See if I can make it go back to the way it used to work. SE toolkit. Set. cd config. Nano set config. And let's look for, whoops, not what I was going for. Apache. Use Apache instead of standard Python web server. I'm sure there's a way to make this work. I just don't know what it is, so I'll just set it to off so it works the way I'm used to it working. It says Apache's on, so it'll stop it for me. Alright, so now this should work. So I just go to localhost. Harvester is ready. Have the victim browse to your site. There we go. Okay. Not sure what the deal was there. But though my VMs don't seem to want to browse to web servers right now for whatever reason, I am able to make Facebook. It's not a very attractive version of Facebook, mind you, because it doesn't have any pictures. I could certainly do better. But if I gave it Georgia and password and do a login, it's going to, of course, send the post page back to me, but then it actually even redirects me back to the original Facebook. But if I look back at my social engineer toolkit, it grabs the username and password as well as the rest of the post request. So what I like to do next is do like a website cloner. So let's see, what has a login page? www.gmail.com. That is a login page. So imagine gmail.com is your client. Let's do this again and do site cloner. This is actually going to call out to the internet and download the site. Now, I didn't do a very good job either. I tried to write it to the same page. Okay. Not what I was going for. It'll clone Google. This used to do a much better job than it's doing today. What page is it writing this to? It's like adding the pages together. So again, if I did log in, sends me back to the real Google, and I should have gotten my credentials, but apparently I didn't. So I guess be careful when using this, because it may just decide not to work for you that day. It would probably help if I updated it. It probably has like certain settings in it that weren't compatible with Kali 1.0.9, and I haven't updated it, which, you know, that certainly happened to me. Let's see if that fixes anything. Should always update things. Update set. I just said 5. That's not very useful. It just reloads it. Update failed. Okay, well, it would be cool if we could get it to work. And another thing I like to use is Mass Mailer. So this will allow me to send out a bunch of emails. I mean, before I started using this, I was lazy and I would just like blind carbon copy everybody, which one might set people off that something's possibly wrong with this email. It might also get popped by spam filters. But if I use this, it'll actually send the emails one by one. I can just give it a list of emails and then it'll send them. So for instance, emails.text. Georgia at bulbsecurity.com, Georgia at metasploit.com, Georgia at, I'm sure I have other email addresses. So we can tell it root email.text, so it'll read each of these and send the email. Help desk. New VPN portal. I put it in HTML. Oh, please. We are pleased to announce a new corporate VPN portal for accounting, payroll, vacation, etc. Please log in with your AD, Active Directory, credentials, which is probably spelled wrong, at, and we can do a link, ahref equals, and then 92.168.1.77. And we could do something like this, so it would appear as www.traiнаce.com/VPN portal. So the link would appear to be this, but if you hovered over it, it would actually show that it went here. So, I mean, obviously you need an internet-facing web server to do this, or do it internally. But, you know, you can do it on like Amazon Cloud or something. Thank you, IT staff. And so something like that. I mean, that's really simple and silly, kind of, but you'd be surprised how often it works. If we did something like went and got the Trainose website or the Cybrary site, and I think the Cybrary site probably has a login in it, but if they don't have a login in them, it was what I was going to show you next, if this site cloner would work, is that what you can do is actually bring in a site and add a login form to it, like find the main frame and right in the middle, take out whatever's there and put a login form there. So it looks like the real website, it just looks like it has a login form added to it. So if they have no login form for you to use, you can just add one. So I do that fairly regularly. I mean, usually in my social engineering, really the only things I do are send out emails and clone websites and occasionally some stuff with text messages. QR code generator, that can be fun. You've probably seen QR codes lying around, but you can make a QR code that goes to anywhere and post it wherever you like. So just because it says that it goes to the store, that it's on the store's window and it says www.store.com underneath it, there's nothing to stop you from making it go like we did here to our own web server. Like the Jester did that with his Twitter icon a few years back, and it had exploits for iOS browsers in it and at the time, so certainly a viable way to do things as well. So it's just a little bit about social engineering. I mean, the core of social engineering is that you're trying to get people to do things that they shouldn't, like we saw with our Java applet one in the previous video. And that really just relies upon the user saying yes. There's no particular vulnerability. So as long as we can get users to say yes to running code, no matter how secure things get, there'll still be a way to get in. Another one I liked, back when most computers actually had DVD drives, it's kind of harder to do with a USB stick, was we'd go in the bathroom and drop DVDs that said like payroll from the previous year. And then it would have the Excel spreadsheet that I mentioned with the Visual Basic in it, and somebody would open it and it would say it needs to run this macro, and they'd say yes, and suddenly we would have control of their system. So, I mean, you just gotta be kind of creative about it. Though your clients may say they know exactly what they want. You know, they might be after a particular kind of phishing attack, so you may just be able to do exactly what they say and not be creative at all. It really just depends.